The obvious thing, President Hans, is we are now we are past an election, both a general election that was a long time grinding through this country and certainly in the Carolinas, but also in North Carolina for you, the idea that there's new leadership in the state, both in the governor's office, lieutenant governor, AG, to name just a couple, but also for primary education, there's a new superintendent of education. So, President Hans, you've got some policy experience in not just education, but directly with the Senate in the United States. How do you approach this new political, I hate to say reality, but there is a new political consciousness going on. Does it matter? Does it change any strategic thinking? How does it wash over you, sir?
Well, Chris, I agree. The election has seemed like a grind. It's a very long, expensive, and noisy season. So, like most Americans, I'm thrilled it's over. I will say that the university has been remarkably fortunate over its existence to have maintained bipartisan support for its mission. And regardless of which party wins any particular office, we work with everyone. The University of North Carolina is for all North Carolinians, and we do our very best to stay out of politics. Not so easy. A lot of people want to bring us in, whether it's from the right or from the left. We try to host debates, hopefully well-informed debates, but otherwise stay out of the politics.
And let's talk about that a bit. I'm going to read some statistics, so forgive me for looking down, but a majority of Americans, 57%, distrust post-secondary institutions around education. 68% say 68% say they're moving in the wrong direction. And according to June 2024, so this past summer, a Gallup poll, the share of Americans who are confident in higher ed dropped by 21 percentage points over the last 10 years. President Hans, how do you, as head of one of the oldest and largest systems in the U.S. and certainly in the Carolinas, how do you be in that system and not of it? How do you keep the idea of being a convener of ideas, and how do you make sure that you're building trust in your own institutions? What's key?
I think to be thoughtful about our engagement with the leaders from both parties, and as I said, all North Carolinians, staying free of taking positions on domestic and foreign policy questions that really it's not the university's place to have an official position on, because again, we're here to serve all North Carolinians. But you have mentioned one of the significant headwinds that higher education nationally is facing, and that is a declining level of support for higher education. I believe it's tied to, one, politics, and two, perceptions about cost. And I think I've mentioned our response to the first, which is to stay out of politics, just not align the university with, as I like to joke, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Vegetarians. We welcome them all. So that's the first headwind. The second headwind is the perception of cost, because there is this very strong national narrative about the rising cost of university education. And it's a worthwhile debate, because there are plenty of examples of where students have taken on too much debt and they've questioned what they've received in return. The University of North Carolina has been very fortunate, thanks to the support of its citizens and what I consider to be fiscal responsibility on our part. We've been able to keep tuition flat for in-state residents the last 8 years, soon to be 9 years running. There's no other state in the nation that can make that claim. So I'm seeking to sharpen our value proposition and push back against that national narrative.